What's going on, internet? Selfish here with Retrospect. I recently did a review of the BatleXP G350, a new budget handheld in the retro gaming space. Now, this does have the same SoC as the former budget king, the R36S by Game Console. This particular handheld by BatleXP just has some higher quality parts. As you can see on my R36S, I have changed out everything with custom parts to make it more comfortable and perform better. We're already getting that out of the box here with the G350. But what this is lacking is firmware. This is using an old variation of some Ambernic firmware from way back in the day, but with some new custom firmware, I think we can bring this to the next level. So today we are going to take a look at a new G350, and this one we're going to run ArkOS on. We'll be able to tell the differences between the two and see if it's worth doing the upgrade. Let's take a look. All right, our friends over here at Mech DIY did send me this for review. They actually do sell a preloaded ArkOS card that you can get directly from Mech DIY, which is what we're going to use for this review here today. The nice thing about it is it's a nice big card in the first slot, which allows you the second slot to put as big of a card as you want in there, well, within reason, and load even more ROMs if you want to. I'm not convinced you're going to need to do that though, because this card that comes in here is very well curated, and I'm actually more impressed than I thought I was going to be. I knew I was going to be impressed. I just am more impressed than I thought I was going to be. Now for today, we did go with one with a black colorway. We're not going to do a full unboxing here because, well, we already unboxed the pink one. If you want to see that unboxing, just go to the video down in the description below and you can go check out the unboxing and my initial review of the G350. So here we have the black G350 here by BattleXP, and we do have a 128 gigabyte card from Mech DIY that is preloaded with ArkOS. Now, if you already have a G350, you can just order the card if you want to, or if you don't have it, you can order them together as a bundle, or if you want to build your own card, you can just go to the website. I will link the wiki to ArkOS down in my thingamabob. If you do want to build your own card, you are going to miss out on the well-curated ROMs. Granted, you can do that yourself. I just think they did a really good job here, which they have been doing really well on some handhelds lately. This one here is no exception. All you do is go to this website, choose the device that you have, which happens to be the G350, download it, and it'll walk you through how to write that to your card. If you need further instructions, I do have a couple of videos on how to load actual ArkOS on my channel. You can look for those, or there's a chance you might see an updated tutorial here in the future. But now we do have our device. We do have our new card. We're going to take the original card out of here, and we are going to put in this new 128 gig SanDisk card here with ArkOS pre-installed on it. And then we'll boot her up. And as you can see, it does say ArkOS in really tiny letters on here, and it does use the emulation station front end when you are using ArkOS, which is fantastic. This is a front end we use on a lot of retro handhelds. You'll see emulation station kind of everywhere, and it is very clean and easy to use. Now, the other thing I am really into is retro achievements, scraping box art, things like that. So we are going to talk about some of the differences between the two operating systems here, since I have both of them, and we can do it side by side on a couple of things just so we can see maybe where there are some additional advantages here with ArkOS. First off, I am going to get a USB Wi-Fi dongle here, just so I do have access to the interwebs if we do need them. I like to use some of these low-profile OTG adapters. That way I don't have something sticking up out of the top. Also drives me nuts when I watch other people's reviews, and there's a dongle sticking up 3 inches off of the device. You can actually make some of these pretty low profile, and I think this kind of proves it. So something like this I think is a little bit more intuitive, but if you are looking for a Wi-Fi dongle, I will have a link down on my thingamabob. There are also some OTG ports. If you just go to my Amazon page, you will find some different OTG kind of adapters like this that I have picked out that I've used on different devices, so I know they all work in various applications. It'd be a good opportunity to look at a couple of these. They're usually only a couple of bucks. I usually buy them in like packs of 4 or 5 with all different shapes and sizes, and then figure out which ones are going to work for which projects. But this one works really well for this, and the Wi-Fi on here will work well as well. So we do want to activate our Wi-Fi. Now this is a little different. On the original firmware, you just do it underneath the settings menu. When you are in ArkOS, you actually do it under the options, and you're going to come down here to the bottom, and you're going to enable Wi-Fi. It's going to load you to a screen where it's going to ask you to choose your network and put in a password and all that kind of stuff. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now that the Wi-Fi is active, there are a few things we can do even here in the Wi-Fi menu, including going into the tools here. We do have Portmaster and ThemeMaster both available, so if you do want to go in and download things like different themes for your background, or different port options, or different ports, you can do that here as well. So here's our theme manager, and it's going to ask you things like what your screen size is. This is a 640 by 480. You choose that, and it will give you every theme that is available for you as a 640 by 480 right now in ThemeMaster, and there are a lot of them. It seems like people are adding to these all the time, so that is good. After we get out of ThemeMaster, before we even set up a theme, I like to go into Portmaster. There are a few ports that I do like to download to all these devices. Now, each device has different ports. I believe Portmaster just hit 1,000 games on Portmaster. If you're not familiar with Portmaster, it actually allows you to play some games that maybe are in your Steam account. I like to look at it as a good way to get through my backlog, because a lot of the games that you're going to find on Portmaster are just some really old games games that maybe you just never got around to playing. That's the experience for me anyways, and I find it a good way to go through my backlog. Now, there are some newer games I like to play, which unfortunately on this device, I'm not sure why they're not all there. I'm going to check again right now as it's doing an update, but I'm a huge fan of UFO 50. When I checked this earlier, UFO 50 was not on here, but we are doing an actual update here on Portmaster, so we might actually get UFO 50 when this is all said and done, and that would make me very happy, because that is the one game I'm missing on here that I play on my brick all the time. If you're not familiar with UFO 50, and I'm not here to sell it for them, but it's like 50 games in one. They're new retro games, so like the retro kind of look and feel, but they're made in the modern age, so you get modern playability mechanics out of them. Yep, so it is going to make us go through the disclaimer here. This is telling us that you have to provide those games, just like I said, so you get your licensing and all that kind of stuff. Once you get done reading that, or have it scroll by for 15 seconds, you'll be able to get into Portmaster. Now, I'm going to look in all ports here and just see if UFO 50 is available while I'm filming, of course, because now I'm kind of excited and want to see if it is on. It is. So look at that. It wasn't on here before. Now we got an update, and now we have UFO 50. So all I have to do is install this, and then I'll just have to go onto my computer, and I will have to drop the files out of my Steam library into the UFO 50 folder, and it will work like it does on my x86 handhelds. So if I were to play it on my Steam Deck or on my Legion Go, I'll have that same access here on this device. And I won't need to be online, so I won't have to have the Wi-Fi dongle in order to play. You just need it in order to download. So that's awesome. The disadvantage is you don't have those retro achievements, but there's really no achievements on these Portmaster games. They also do have ready-to-run ports. This is an entire library full of ports where you don't need to add any additional files to. Everything you need to play is right here. And if I want to get in those games, I literally just go into the ports here, and I will be able to see those games. There's a couple that I was playing with earlier, and here's UFO 50. Now, this won't work until I install the files, and if I try to open it before that, I'm going to have to reinstall UFO 50. What it does is it binds the files together in order to make them work on the device. Really just make sure that you paid for it and you own an actual copy of it. And I think that's legit. I think that these developers should get paid for it, and if they just put it out there in the freewareverse or the abandonwareverse, then it may pop up over there on the ready-to-play menus. Now, I'm going to change this theme. This is the normal theme that you see on pretty much every device that's running with that emulation station front end, but there are some different themes that I do like, and I actually just downloaded a bunch of them out of that Theme Master thing. I don't know what we're going to run. We'll try to find one here, and we'll go on from there. This is kind of a cool PS2 theme, so this looks like the menus on your PS2. You don't get all the pictures and stuff. It's more minimalist. You can also run, like, if you don't want to put MinUI on a device like this, you can still run their themes, but not lose all the capabilities of the device, so it doesn't water the device down at all. And they do have a theme, and so you can make it look like MinUI without actually running MinUI, which honestly, MinUI actually looks like the Analog Pocket, so you can make it look more like the Analog Pocket, so that minimalist approach where you're not getting all the box art and stuff here on the main screen. And when you go through the menus, you do get some of that box art, so it's almost more like PackUI at this point, but PackUI didn't exist when this theme came out. It does give you a little bit of a taste of both worlds, so it is kind of nice and minimal. If you want to go the opposite of a minimal theme, you also have an option like this, which is plastics, and it's literally just a whole bunch of stuff in your face the whole time. So there's some options out there. Now, one thing you're going to notice along the way here is that you're not going to see some systems like PSP, which are on the original game card that comes from BattleXP. The reason being is those files are bigger and they don't play well on this device. But the nice thing about this card also is because it is a one-slot card, if you do want to get those games, you can actually load up a secondary SD card, put it in the secondary slot over here in SD or TF slot 2, and you will have access to anything you put on there. So if you want to add some more PSP games, PS1 games, more N64 or Dreamcast, you can do that. Now, there are going to be PS1 games and stuff like that on here, but most of this card and the games that are available on are designed around being able to play on a 3326, so you're not getting a bunch of games that are just going to fart out on you. Now, that doesn't mean that they're all going to be perfect. In fact, I'm going to guess that they probably, for some reason, I don't know why every company does this, and I haven't looked yet. Okay, we need to change this theme again. This is too much. This is too much for my eyes. Okay, we're just going to run this minimal theme here for ArkOS. We do have DS and stuff like that on here, so it is really just the systems that you're really going to want to be able to play on this device because they work well on here. And we do have our Neo Geo Pocket, so we will test out Neo Drift to make sure we don't get any screen tearing or anything like that. This is a very, very clear screen for how inexpensive this device is. The screen looks really good, but we will test some of that stuff out here as well. So before I go around the horn here again, we're going to take a look at what we got, and I'm just going to slowly scroll past the systems. You can decide if any of these look interesting to you, just because these are preloaded. Arcade here, I will tell you, is meme, so that's what's going to be running underneath there. And then you do have your Capcoms, your Megaducks, your PC Engine CD-ROM, Famicom, Super Famicom, or your NES, Super NES in the States, Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, DS. You got your Sega systems here, your Neo Geos, your PlayStation Television, your Microsoft systems, Pico 8, ports, and then this configuration is that options file that we were in before, and then of some favorites if you want to add some favorites. Pico 8 is one of my favorite systems out there. That is the secret console that doesn't actually exist, but it has its own game catalog. I've done videos specifically on Pico 8. This isn't going to be the best resolution for Pico 8 because they are perfectly square games, so the best handhelds you're going to want for that are going to be your like 720 by 720 1x1 handhelds, where it's going to be a perfect square. But they do actually pretty well on here, surprisingly. Pico 8 is something that you buy once, usually around 10 to 15 bucks. They do sales on it all the time, and you'll have it for life. And in here you can see games that are built by anybody that are made specifically for running this, what they call a virtual console. The other thing you can do with it is you can run Pico 8 games right on their website, but if you have these cards here, you can download any of these that you want right to your device and play them. If you've ever played the game Celeste started as a Pico 8 game. So you have TMNT, Shredder's Revenge, specifically made for Pico 8, so we're going to see that here. Just kind of curious. One thing that's cool here too about some of the ROMs that are on here, this is the translated version. The first few times I ever played this, I didn't have a clue what they were saying because there wasn't a translated version. Now that they're out there, that's actually the ROM that they're using here. Before I go any further, if you decide you want to get this card and or get yourself a G350, there's going to be a link down to my thingamabob in order to do that over at Mech DIY. Use code RETROSPECT16, save yourself 16%, and if you do purchase from them, it does help support the channel. I think we touched pretty well on the basics and an introductory level of ArkOS for you here today. If you do want me to get deeper into the features of ArkOS, way beyond what most people are ever going to use, let me know down in my comment section. I've been kicking around doing a really comprehensive video on it for a while now. I just don't know how many people are actually interested in it. If there's enough interest in it, I wouldn't mind going through and just just showing you all the features that ArkOS has to offer. But here today, I just wanted to kind of give you a top level so you can understand why ArkOS is probably a better option than what the stock firmware is. If nothing else, it opens up more abilities on your device. But I think we're going to leave it right there because that's all I got for today. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, share this video with your friends because sharing is caring. Sharing also helps grow the channel. Oddly enough, shared videos are where we get most of our subscribers from, so do me a favor, share that out there, help grow our community out even more. Once you're done with all that paperwork, do yourself a favor, watch one of these videos on the screen. Even if you watched it before, YouTube is saying you're going to want to watch it, so maybe they think you're in a good mood or a different mood than you were last time you watched it. Maybe you're going to like it more. I have no idea. I'm not as smart as YouTube, but that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.